Hey, welcome to Reddit cheating stories with crazy endings. If you're here, you've come to the right channel for gripping stories and jaw-dropping twists. I'm on a mission to hit 1,000 subscribers, and I'd love for you to join me. It's completely free, just hit that subscribe button so you won't miss out on what's coming next. Today's story. My sister stole my late wife's wedding ring and gave it to her daughter. This one hits deep and spirals into some intense family drama, so buckle up. My wife, Emily, passed away 4 years ago. It was cancer, and it took her so quickly, too quickly. We had been together for 15 years and married for 12. She wasn't just my wife, she was my best friend, my partner, and my world. Losing her felt like losing a piece of myself, and I've been trying to put the pieces back together ever since. After Emily passed, I couldn't bring myself to part with her wedding ring. It wasn't a particularly flashy or expensive ring, but it held immense sentimental value. It was a symbol of the life we built together. I kept it in a small wooden box on my dresser, a box Emily had found at a flea market years ago. It was nothing fancy, just a simple keepsake she'd loved. After she passed, it became priceless to me. For years, that ring stayed there, untouched. I didn't open the box often, I didn't need to. Just knowing it was there gave me comfort, like a small part of Emily was still with me. It was one of the few things that helped me navigate the unbearable weight of her absence. About 2 weeks ago, I decided to clean up my place. I'm not the tidiest person, but every now and then, I get the urge to straighten things up. While dusting my dresser, I noticed something strange. The lid of the wooden box was open. At first, I thought I was imagining things. I never left the box open. I barely even touched it. But when I looked closer, my heart dropped. The ring wasn't there. I froze, staring at the empty box. My brain couldn't process what I was seeing. Where could it have gone? I started searching frantically, pulling open drawers, checking under the dresser, even looking behind furniture. I was convinced it must have fallen somewhere. But after hours of tearing my house apart, I came up empty. Panic set in. The only people who had been in my house recently were my sister, Claire, and her 17-year-old daughter, Maddie. They'd come over for lunch last month. I tried to tell myself there had to be another explanation. Maybe I'd misplaced it. Maybe it had been knocked into some random spot. But deep down, I knew the truth. Someone had taken it. Fast forward to Maddie's engagement party. Now let me say this. I think 17 is way too young to get married. But Claire and the rest of the family were treating it like the event of the century. I wasn't thrilled about going, but I figured I'd show up out of obligation. It was a backyard party with cheap folding chairs, plastic tablecloths, and everyone pretending they weren't freezing in the chilly weather. I was hovering near the food table, trying to stay out of the way when I saw it. Maddie was standing with a group of her friends, laughing and holding out her hands so they could admire her engagement ring. At first, I didn't think much of it. Then I got a closer look. That wasn't just any ring. It was Emily's ring. My heart stopped. My legs moved before I even realized it, carrying me straight to Claire, who was chatting with our mom. "Why is Maddie wearing Emily's ring?" I demanded, my voice louder than I intended. Claire blinked at me, confused, then shrugged like it was no big deal. "Oh, she saw it when we were at your house and fell in love with it. I thought you wouldn't mind since you weren't using it anymore." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "You thought I wouldn't mind? Are you out of your damn mind? That's my late wife's wedding ring." Claire rolled her eyes. "Calm down. It's just a ring. Maddie loved it, and I thought it'd be nice to keep it in the family. Nice? You went into my house, took something that wasn't yours, and gave it to a teenager like it's some cheap trinket. Claire crossed her arms, clearly annoyed. You weren't even using it. Don't you think Emily would have wanted it to stay in the family? I was furious. Don't you dare tell me what Emily would have wanted. You had no right to take it. Get it back now. Claire sighed, clearly frustrated. You're making a scene. It's Maddie's engagement party. Don't ruin it just because you're still hung up on the past. Her words stung, but I didn't care. You've got 1 week to return that ring, or I'm calling the cops. Her face turned red. You wouldn't dare. Watch me. 2 days later, Mom called. She said we needed to have a family dinner to talk things out. Reluctantly, I agreed, even though I knew it wouldn't change anything. When I arrived, the tension was thick. Claire and Maddie were already at the table. Maddie wouldn't even look at me. Dad was sitting at the head of the table, pretending to read the newspaper, while Mom bustled around the kitchen, acting like everything was normal. As soon as I sat down, Claire pounced. Do you even realize what you've done? Maddie's been crying for days. She's 17, and you're threatening to call the cops over a ring. She's crying over a ring she stole, I shot back. She didn't steal it. She's a kid. She didn't know it was such a big deal. She's 17, not 7. She knew damn well it wasn't hers. And you? You're teaching her that it's okay to take whatever she wants as long as she likes it. Before Claire could respond, Dad finally spoke up. You're really going to the cops over this? Yes, Dad. I am. The room went silent. Maddie looked like she wanted to disappear. Claire's face was red with anger. After dinner, Mom pulled me aside. Do you really think this is the best way to handle it? It's the only way, I said. The next morning, there was a knock at my door. It was Maddie. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. I didn't mean to upset you, she said, her voice trembling. Mom said it was okay to take the ring. I thought it was special because it belonged to family. That ring isn't just a piece of jewelry, I said, my voice steady. It's the last piece of Emily I have. It's not yours to take. Tears filled her eyes as she pulled the ring from her pocket. I'm sorry, she whispered. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I could breathe again. What would you have done in my shoes? Let me know in the comments below. And if you're not already subscribed, hit that button and join the channel so you don't miss more stories like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. I didn't think. Maddie's voice trailed off, her gaze dropping to the floor. She looked like she was trying to hold herself together, but I could see the tremble in her lips. You didn't think at all, Maddie. That's the problem. Now tell me where it is. I tried to keep my voice steady, but the anger was bubbling just below the surface. She hesitated, and I could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on her. She bit her lip before speaking, her voice barely above a whisper. I don't have it anymore. Josh has it. My heart stopped for a second. I stared at her, trying to make sense of what she'd just said. Josh has it? What the hell do you mean, Josh has it? She winced at the sharpness of my tone, but her eyes remained locked on the ground. He proposed to me with it, she mumbled. He wanted to keep it safe until the wedding. I felt a wave of rage rush over me, and I slammed the door behind me as I grabbed my jacket off the coat rack. Of course, he has it, I muttered under my breath. Why wouldn't he? Tell me where he is. He's at his house, Maddie replied quickly. She stepped forward, her voice shaking. But please, don't. I didn't stop to listen. Don't what? I barked. Go get my wife's ring back. Maddie, are you out of your mind? I didn't wait for a response. I stormed past her, heading straight for my car. The drive to Josh's house felt like an eternity. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tightly that my knuckles were white. I didn't even know what I was going to say when I got there, but I knew one thing: I wasn't leaving without that ring. When I finally reached Josh's parents' house, I barely noticed the manicured lawn or the perfectly placed wreath on the door. All I could think about was getting that ring back. I pounded on the door with enough force to rattle the frame. After a moment, the door creaked open, and Josh stood there, his eyes widening in surprise. Hey, Uncle, what's up? He said, trying to act casual, but I could see the tension in his shoulders. Where's Emily's ring? I asked, cutting right to the chase. Josh blinked, clearly taken aback. Emily's ring? You mean Maddie's engagement ring? No, I snapped, my frustration bubbling over. I mean my ring. The one my wife wore. The one Maddie's been wearing like it's hers. Josh's confusion morphed into concern. Wait, Maddie told me that ring was a family heirloom from her grandma. I didn't know. Cut the crap, Josh. My voice was low, but it was like a fuse had been lit. Where is it? Josh scratched the back of his neck nervously, glancing over his shoulder like he was looking for an escape. It's at the jeweler. We're getting it resized for the wedding. I was seeing red now. You took it to a jeweler without even knowing where it came from? You've got to be kidding me. Josh shrugged, still trying to act nonchalant. It's just a ring, man. What's the big deal? Just a ring, I seethed. That's my late wife's wedding ring, Josh. She's been gone for 4 years, and that ring is all I have left of her. You think it's just an accessory? Josh's face turned pale, and he opened his mouth but couldn't seem to find the words. I didn't know, he stammered. I swear Maddie said it was hers. I didn't know it was yours. Well, now you do. I took a step closer, my voice ice cold. So where is it? Exactly? It's at Johnson's Jewelry downtown, Josh said quickly, his voice wavering. We just dropped it off yesterday. I didn't say anything else. I turned on my heel and walked off the porch, heading straight for my car. The drive to the jeweler felt like an eternity, and my mind was racing with every possible scenario. I didn't care about anything else, I just wanted that ring back. I pulled up to Johnson's Jewelry, a small brick building tucked between 2 larger stores. I parked and stormed inside, barely acknowledging the quiet interior. An older man was polishing a necklace behind the counter, and he looked up as I approached. Can I help you? He asked, his voice calm. I'm here to pick up a ring, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. An old gold band with a small diamond. Should have been brought in yesterday. The man frowned, clearly confused. Do you have a receipt? No, but I don't need one. That ring belongs to me. It was stolen from me, and I'm here to take it back. His frown deepened, and I could see the hesitation in his eyes. Stolen? Are you saying it's not theirs? That's exactly what I'm saying. My voice was sharp. That's my late wife's wedding ring, and it was taken from my house without my permission. If you've got it, I suggest you bring it out now. The man looked uncertain, and I leaned on the counter, my patience wearing thin. I can either leave here with the ring, or we can get the police involved. Your choice. With a long sigh, the man disappeared into the back room. A few minutes later, he returned with a small tray in his hands. On it was Emily's ring, looking exactly the way I remembered it. Simple, elegant, and beautiful. "Is this it?" the man asked. "That's it," I said, grabbing it without waiting for his approval. He started to say something, but I didn't listen. "Send the bill to Maddie and Josh for whatever work you've already done," I said as I walked toward the door. "They can pay for their own mess." I felt a strange weight lifting off my shoulders as I got back into my car, holding the ring in my hand. It felt heavier than I remembered, like it carried everything that had happened in the past few days. But at least it was back where it belonged. When I got home, I locked the door behind me and put the ring back in its box. This time, I moved it to the highest shelf in my closet, out of reach. I didn't care if I had to buy a safe. I wasn't letting anyone touch it again. Just as I thought the ordeal was finally over, I heard shouting outside. I looked out the window to see my whole family, Claire, Maddie, Josh, Mom, and Dad, standing awkwardly on the lawn. Claire was leading the charge, yelling at me. Josh looked uncomfortable, and Maddie was standing beside her mother, sniffling. Mom was waving her arms, trying to calm everyone down, but it wasn't working. I threw open the door, stepping out onto the porch. "What the hell are you all doing here?" Claire turned on me, her face red with anger. "You had no right to take the ring back. Maddie is devastated, and you've embarrassed all of us." I shook my head. "Embarrassed you? You're the ones who stole from me. Don't act like you're the victim here." Claire's voice rose in fury. "It wasn't stealing. It's family property, and you're hoarding it like a damn dragon. Maddie needed it more than you did." I stepped forward, my voice cold and firm. "That ring belonged to Emily, and it stays with me. End of story." Mom stepped in, her voice softer, but still firm. "Can't you just let it go? For the sake of the family? This is tearing us apart." "It's not just a ring, Mom," I said, my frustration boiling over. "It's Emily's, and that's all that matters." Claire threw up her hands, her sarcasm dripping. "Here we go again with Emily. You talk about her like she's a saint. Newsflash, she's gone, and Maddie is alive. She's starting her life. Maybe you should try to be happy for her instead of clinging to the past." That was the last straw. "Don't you dare talk about Emily like that," I snapped, stepping toward her. "You have no idea what you're saying. If Maddie wants to start her life, she can do it with a different ring, not one you had no right to take in the first place." Maddie, who had been quiet up until that point, suddenly burst into tears. "Why are you being so mean? It's just a ring. It's not like you're married anymore." My patience snapped. "It's not just a ring, Maddie. It's my wife's wedding ring. It's not yours. It's not your mom's. And it sure as hell isn't Josh's. Get over it." Josh tried to intervene, raising his hands like he was calling for a timeout. "Look, man, maybe we can work something out." "No, we can't," I interrupted. "You want to marry Maddie? Fine. But you're not doing it with my wife's ring." End of discussion. Claire started yelling again, accusing me of being selfish and ruining Maddie's engagement. Mom begged me to find some middle ground, but I was done. "Get off my property," I said, my voice cold. Claire ignored me, stepping closer. "You don't mean that. You're just mad because you can't handle seeing someone else happy. Admit it." I pulled out my phone, making it clear I was ready to make good on my threat. "Last warning," I said. "Leave now or I'll call the police." Maddie and Josh exchanged looks, and after a tense moment, Josh finally muttered, "Fine, we'll go." They all walked off the porch, leaving me standing alone in the doorway, the weight of the situation pressing on me. But I felt one thing above all: peace. I had the ring back, and that was all that mattered. I first heard from Dad about a week after the blowout. He called me early in the morning, his voice rough, like he hadn't had his coffee yet. "Look," he said, skipping any pleasantries. "This thing with your sister has gone on long enough. You've made your point, but you can't expect her to just forget what happened." "Forget?" I said. "She's the one who stole from me, Dad. She doesn't get to play the victim here." He sighed, trying to reason with me. "She didn't steal anything. She thought she was doing something nice for Maddie. You could have handled it without blowing up like you did." "Nice?" I shot back. "Since when is rummaging through someone's things and taking what doesn't belong to you nice?" And let's not pretend Claire thought about anyone but herself. She wanted to be the hero, giving her daughter the perfect engagement ring, and she didn't care how I'd feel about it. Dad sighed heavily. "All right, maybe she was out of line, but this situation is tearing the family apart. You've got to meet her halfway." "There's no halfway, Dad," I said. "The ring's back where it belongs, and I'm done talking about it." "She's your sister," he pressed. "And that's supposed to excuse what she did," I shot back. "No. If Claire wants to make this right, she knows what she has to do. Until then, I'm done with her." The next time I heard about Maddie, it was through Mom. She called one evening while I was cleaning up, and I almost didn't pick up. But I figured I'd better get it over with. "Hi, honey," she began, her tone overly sweet. "I just wanted to let you know that Maddie's decided it's best if you don't come to the wedding." "Did she now?" I said, not surprised at all. "She's still upset about what happened. She feels like it would be too awkward having you there," Mom explained. "It's her big day, and she wants everything to be perfect. So she's punishing me because I wouldn't let her keep something that wasn't hers?" I replied. "Don't be like that," Mom said. "She's just a kid, trying to navigate a difficult situation." "She's 17 and getting married," I snapped. "She's old enough to know better. You can tell her uninviting me is fine." I didn't want to go anyway. "Don't say that," Mom insisted. "Your family, and weddings are about family. You should be there to support her." "I'm not supporting someone who thinks stealing from me is okay," I said, the finality in my voice leaving no room for negotiation. The final straw came when Dad showed up at my house unannounced. I opened the door to find him standing there, arms crossed, looking like he was ready to lecture me. "We need to talk," he said, stepping inside before I could tell him no. I followed him into the living room, crossing my arms as he sat down on the couch. "Enough is enough," he said. "This feud with Claire has gone on long enough. You're both being stubborn. It's time to put it behind you." "It's not a feud," I said. "She stole from me. I'm not the one who needs to apologize." "You're both at fault," he argued. "You could have handled this better. Instead, you've turned it into a personal war." "I handled it exactly how it needed to be handled," I said. "Claire crossed the line, and she's facing the consequences. If she doesn't like it, tough." "She's your sister," Dad repeated, as if that changed anything. "And that doesn't mean she gets a free pass to treat me like garbage," I shot back. "If she wants to fix this, she knows what to do. Until then, I'm done talking about it." Dad stayed for another hour, trying to wear me down, but I didn't budge. When he finally left, he looked defeated, but I didn't care. This wasn't something I was going to compromise on. Claire can stay mad. Maddie can have her wedding without me. None of it changes the fact that Emily's ring is back where it belongs. And that's all that matters. The ring is back on my dresser where it belongs, but I can't shake the feeling that I need to do more to protect it. Every time I walk past it, I half expect it to vanish again, like some phantom hand might sneak in and take it while I'm not looking. It's irrational, maybe, but after everything that's happened, I can't trust anyone, not even family. I started looking around the house, thinking about the best place to store it. First, I considered putting the box in my closet, but that seemed too easy. If Claire had no problem rifling through my dresser, the closet wouldn't stop her either. Then I thought about hiding it in the attic, but the idea of climbing up there every time I wanted to see the ring seemed ridiculous. Eventually, I decided I needed a safe something solid with a combination only I know. The thought of having to buy a damn safe for a single ring seemed absurd, but if it keeps Emily's ring out of the wrong hands, it's worth it. The family, meanwhile, is still in shambles. Mom keeps calling, but the conversations are strained. She talks about mundane things, weather, errands, some neighbor who got a new dog, but it's obvious she's avoiding the real issue. Every call ends the same way. I hope you and Claire can work this out. It's not good for the family to be so divided. I don't have the heart to tell her it's not happening. Claire hasn't spoken to me directly since the blowout, but she's found other ways to make her feelings known. I've heard from cousins, aunts, even a neighbor who claims Claire was ranting about me during a barbecue. The stories vary, but they all have the same theme. I'm the villain, and Claire's the poor, misunderstood sister who is just trying to do something nice. I don't care what they think. Let them talk. The people who matter know the truth, and the rest can believe whatever makes them feel better. One afternoon, I decided to visit the cemetery. I hadn't been there in a while, not since this whole mess started, and it felt like the right time to go. I brought some flowers, the kind Emily liked, and spent a while sitting there, just talking to her. I told her everything that had happened, from the missing ring to the confrontation with Claire, Maddie, and Josh. I even told her about the safe I was planning to buy, laughing at how ridiculous it all sounded when I said it out loud. I don't know what you'd think about all this, I said, but I hope I did right by you. It felt good to talk, even if it was just to the air. By the time I left, I felt a little lighter, like I'd finally closed the chapter on this mess. The next week, I bought the safe. It's nothing fancy, just a small one with a combination lock, but it's enough to give me peace of mind. I put it in the back of the closet, bolted it to the floor, and locked the ring inside. It's strange, knowing I'll probably never see it unless I make a point to, but it's better this way. Life has started to settle down again. The calls from family have slowed, and the drama seems to be fading into the background. I know things will never go back to the way they were, but I'm okay with that. Some lines, once crossed, can't be uncrossed. I might have lost some family over this, but at least Emily's ring is safe. That's all that matters. Outro. Thanks for watching. If you liked the story, hit subscribe. See you in the next one.